Hey everyone, this is Dave from Mile High Drone Services, and sometimes things just happen where you got to sit back and say, like, really? And you just can't make this stuff up, and that is kind of what's prompting this video. Um, so as you may know, last November I purchased the Mavic 3 Cine package, and I did a couple very detailed reviews about the Cine. Some things were very positive, other things were not so positive. Bottom line was I decided to return the Cine to Amazon and get my money back because of the lack of functionality and other things about the Cine. So, if you want more details, you can find that video on YouTube. In January of this year, 2022, DJI announced that they were updating the firmware as promised to provide all of the missing functionality that was missing from the original release, which is great. So I took a leap of faith and I ordered another Mavic 3. I did not order the Cine because the Cine package just wasn't worth it, and there were some issues with the Cine implementation regarding not having a removable solid state drive and all that. So I just bought a Mavic 3 all by itself, a couple batteries, the RC Pro, and then some aftermarket filters, and saved about $1,000. So all well and good. So the Cine arrives and I update the firmware. And I go out and test it, and I'm pretty pleased. Everything is working as advertised, so that's good. So DJI delivered on their promise to provide the missing features. So anyway, so I'm out on a couple jobs, and I work in an area that's got several municipal airports nearby, as well as a towered field. So anyway, I'm out doing my work, and then I notice some airplanes in the vicinity, and I look at the ADSB notifications, and they're set to notify. They're set to the most sensitive because I always like having an extra eye in the sky to so I know if there's manned aircraft, assuming they're transmitting ADSB. And honestly, that is one of the reasons that I decided not to go with Autel, was because the Cine, or the Mavic 3, has ADSB notifications, which I find extremely useful. The more eyes in the sky to tell me what's going on, the better. But I noticed that there were no notifications at all about the manned aircraft that I saw. And in the past, there were always notifications of aircraft in the area, because there's a lot of aircraft in the area when I fly, even though it's Class G airspace. So, well, that's interesting. So I went to a location which is right on the flight pattern of a municipal airport. I just left the Mavic 3 on the ground, but turned on, and sure enough, no notifications whatsoever by any of these airplanes. And it was a very nice day, a lot of airplanes in the air, and I just found it very interesting and kind of hard to believe that these planes would all have ADSB turned off. So waited a few days, did more testing. Once again, never got any ADSB notifications. So I sent DJI Support, or I contacted them through the official channel, and I said, I think that the latest firmware, possibly broke ADSB notifications, because I'm not getting anything. And what I'd actually done is I made a YouTube video showing that these planes were in the area, and they were flying very close to the Mavic 3 that was on the ground, but it was turned on. And we're talking, they're coming in for a landing, they're probably 150 feet above me, and they're flying directly over me. So it was clearly a risk if the Mavic 3 had been in the air. So DJI responded promptly, and they said, well, in fact, it says, I can totally understand how you feel, but please don't worry. The AirSense prompts in the previous version were too sensitive. For example, a civil aircraft passing by 1 kilometer above the drone would also send a prompt. Therefore, in the 1.0.05 version, we have adjusted the functions of AirSense under the premise of ensuring safety. Please feel free to use it. Now, this was after I provided them a YouTube video showing the planes flying, within 100 feet of the Mavic 3. So then they went on to say that if I'm still concerned, that I should put the Mavic 3 in the air and provide them the flight logs. So they're kind of asking me to put the Mavic 3 very close to a flying aircraft, and it didn't quite seem like a good idea, but they wanted flight logs. So, okay. So I thought about this a little bit, and so I contacted a buddy who has an Air 2S, which also has ADSB notifications, and we went off to a municipal airport to the edge of the runway, or near the edge, within 100 feet of the runway, and removed all the props from both the Air 2S and the Mavic 3, because I did not want to have any chance of either drone being in the air, this close to an airport. And put the Mavic 3 on the ground. I started the motors, and then I gave it a little bit of power, and the motor sped up, so I lifted up the drone, and then, using the controls, the drone was thinking it was in the air, because, the motors kept spinning, so the logs were being generated, and then I set it on the table. And there were a lot of aircraft in the area doing touch and goes. We even had a helicopter fly by. The Air 2S was going crazy, notifying manned aircraft too close to everything that it should do. Mavic 3, not a word. No indication whatsoever. So in many cases, we had an airplane, on final approach, flying right towards us or taking off right towards us with no alerts whatsoever. So okay, this should make I should be able to provide DJI the logs of this flight, along with the video and all that. So I did another YouTube video, and I have the Air 2S screen on the left-hand side and the Mavic 3 on the right-hand side, and pretty much proof positive. The planes were transmitting ADSB, and the Air 2S was showing the alerts. The Mavic 3, nothing. So I make another YouTube video, and I provide that to DJI Support. They look at it and they go, okay, please send us the logs, put them up on Google Drive. So I did. I downloaded the logs, and that was another interesting experience, because I'm a Mac guy, and the latest Mac Assistant 2 doesn't work on the latest Mac operating system. But I also have an old PC lying around, so I used that to get the logs. So I sent them to DJI Support. I sent them the link, and their response was, but please don't worry. The AirSense prompts in the previous version were too sensitive. So it was the exact same response that they sent me the first time. And so I send you the logs and you don't even look at them? And so I sent them a couple more emails and come on guys, I sent you the logs, proof positive. Does DJI really think that a plane, if the pilot's here and you've got or the Mavic's here in my left hand, and an airplane's here flying right at you, within 100 feet, that's not a hazard and you shouldn't alert it. I just keep getting the same response. Don't worry, the AirSense algorithm has been changed and it will only alert you when there's a threat. And it's just like, what the hell? And so anyway, I sent him another couple of emails saying, have you looked at the logs? And now DJI is saying, we can't open them. The link says there's a privacy issue. There's no privacy issue. I've sent a link, the same link, to some friends of mine, asking if they get access to those files and download them, and they say, yeah, no problem, we can download them. So clearly, DJI is just trying to make me go away, which they should know better. If they just say, we're aware of the problem, we're investigating it, it'll be addressed or fixed in a future firmware update, that's all I needed to hear, and I would have gone away. But they asked me to put the drone up in harm's way just to get logs. I do that in a safe manner, and then they don't even take the time to look at the logs. So I don't know if I can't believe, because I've gotten responses from several different people in DJI Support. I can't believe that they are all that incompetent. It's just, I think that DJI is just telling their reps, when people report this issue, tell them that no, it's not an issue on the DJI software, it's because we adjusted the AirSense and it's working perfectly, and just go away. And if you go to the forums, there are a lot of people that are stating the same issue. And the response from DJI is, well, they don't respond to the forums at all, but when you send them and contact them through their official support channels, they obviously have this canned response, because I've gotten the exact same response from multiple people. And this has, serious safety implications. DJI advertises ADSB notifications. So if they're not doing it, then that's a flaw in the drone. And I am seriously thinking about returning this drone. I've passed the window for Amazon, but my credit card company, in fact, all credit card companies are very pro-consumer. And if I can state that the drone is broken and the manufacturer is not willing to fix it, I know they'll give me my money back. I can send it back. So I'm really torn whether to do that, because I like the drone. It takes great pictures and all that, but one of the reasons I bought the Mavic over the Autel was for the ADSB notifications, because I fly in an area that has a lot of small municipal airports, and it's a safety thing. I want to have the more notifications, the more eyes in the sky I have, the better. And some people say, well, it's all about situational awareness. You need to be aware of what's around you. I agree, but it doesn't hurt to have an additional eye in the sky. And if the company says that they have that and they don't, then that's a problem. It's similar to saying, when anti-lock brakes came out, 30, 40 years ago, we don't need those, just don't drive fast on black ice. Well, safety features, you don't need them until you do, just like airbags. Probably 99% of the people who've watching this video have never used an airbag. But if you're in an accident, you need that airbag. And when airbags don't deploy properly, that's a problem. If you took your car in for a routine update, let's say you're updating the maps and that update caused anti-lock brakes not to work or airbags not to work, you don't think there'd be a problem? You don't think there'd be a class action lawsuit? Huh, immediately. And also the people who are trying to get waivers, let's say visual line of sight waivers or some other waivers, and one of the justifications for safety is they say their drone has ADSB notifications. Well, all of a sudden it doesn't have ADSB notifications. Well, those waivers might get revoked, or they might get denied once the FAA learns that ADSB notifications are no longer working on the Mavic 3, perhaps maybe on the future release of the Air 2S firmware. I don't know. So I wish that DJI would take this flaw that they have injected seriously and tell us that it's being worked on and it's going to be addressed. I agree with DJI when they say, if you have an aircraft that's flying 1,000 kilometers above you, then it's not a threat. I agree with that. But if you've got a plane flying directly towards you at 130 miles an hour at the same altitude and he's less than a couple hundred feet away, that is a threat. So please fix it. One of the things that might be causing this error to occur is the altitude that you're at as far as the ground level. I'm flying in Colorado. Our elevation is over 5,000 feet above sea level. That's the ground elevation. And I'm just speculating, but maybe DJI is just looking at the elevation above sea level of the aircraft. And if it's at 6,000 feet, they just assume it's not a threat. Well, but if the ground's at 5,850, it is a problem. So that's just a theory I have on what might be this bug that's being introduced. I don't know what the elevation in is at the DJI facility in China, but if it's close to sea level, maybe that's why they're thinking it's not a problem, because every time they test it, it works. Well, go up 1,000 meters and try it. So anyway, so the actual video, which shows the test with the Mavic Air 2S and the Mavic 3, is going to follow this long rant, and that's about all I can say. So I really hope DJI takes this bug that they introduced seriously and fixes it. I guess that's all I have to say, and feel free to comment in the comment area. I'm sure that the fanboys will be all upset because whatever DJI does is perfect, but turning off a safety feature is not cool. So please fix it. Thank you.
No notification. You did.
Manned aircraft approaching. Fly at a safe altitude. Manned aircraft too close. Fly at a safe altitude.
I got a note. Marked it, shows it. Yep.
Manned aircraft approaching. Fly at safe altitude.
He's putting that one in. I got two. Yeah. I got two in here. See, this one that's left, and this guy's coming in. That guy's in the wrong place.
The downwind, helicopter 686 Alpha Mike, we're going to file in behind you, left traffic 34, hearing. We have that traffic in line, thank you so much. We'll wait some count time as well, and I do sorry. That's in the first part, so you can send you, yes. Right here, trailing, going.
At the safe altitude.
Yeah, I think you got a lot. Let's stop the, go back to your